Adam's pulse was a wild drumbeat in his ears. He needed to regain control of this situation, of himself. He shoved a hand against Damien's chest, pushing him back, only slightly, just enough to create space. Damien allowed it, stepping back without resistance, but his gaze never wavered. "You're insane," Adam muttered, gripping the USB tightly in his fist. "You think stalking someone for years and then stealing for them is supposed to win me over?" Damien tilted his head, considering the words. "No." Adam blinked. "No?" "No," Damien repeated, voice low, steady. "I never expected you to love me, Adam." Something about the way he said that sent a sharp pang through Adam's chest. He swallowed. "Then why? Why keep watching me? Why, this?" He lifted the USB accusingly. Damien let out a slow breath, as if choosing his words carefully. "Because you were the first person to make me feel something." Adam stiffened. "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I have," Damien murmured. "You think I chose this? Chose to fixate on you?" His lips pressed into a tight line. "I tried to stay away, I really did." Adam scoffed. "Not hard enough." Damien's fingers twitched at his side. "Maybe not." A thick silence stretched between them again. Adam could feel the weight of Damien's presence, his unreadable expression, the way he studied Adam like he was the only thing that existed in the world. It was suffocating. It was too much. Adam turned away, rubbing his face. "Jesus Christ, I need a drink." He walked to the kitchen without looking back, opening a cabinet and pulling out a half-empty bottle of whiskey. He poured himself a glass, hesitated, then poured a second one. When he turned back around, Damien was still standing in the same spot, watching him with quiet intensity. Adam sighed, holding out the second glass. "If you're going to stand there like a weirdo, at least drink something." Damien blinked, as if surprised. Then, slowly, he stepped forward and took the glass from Adam's hand. Their fingers brushed again. Adam ignored the way his skin prickled at the touch. He took a long sip of his drink, letting the burns settle in his throat before exhaling. "So," he said, eyeing Damien over the rim of his glass. "What now?" Damien's lips curled slightly. "That's up to you." Adam narrowed his eyes. "No, see, that's the thing. It's not. You're the one who broke into Ayumi's office, or wherever you got this from. You're the one who's been following me for 5 years. You made this my problem, so you tell me." "What now?" Damien was silent for a moment. Then he lifted the whiskey to his lips, taking a slow sip before answering. "I stay." Adam nearly choked on his drink. "Excuse me?" "I stay," Damien repeated, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "At least for tonight." Adam laughed, short and incredulous. "You can't be serious." "I am." Adam set his glass down with a clatter. "Damien, I don't know you." "Yes, you do." Adam's eye twitched. "No, I don't. You've been watching me. That's not the same thing." Damien took another step forward. "But now you're watching me." Adam opened his mouth to argue, then snapped it shut. Because, damn it, Damien was right. For the first time in 5 years, Adam was actually looking at him, acknowledging him, seeing him not as some distant, faceless shadow, but as a man who was standing in his kitchen, drinking his whiskey, acting as if he belonged there. Adam didn't know what was worse, that Damien had forced himself into his life in such an intense, invasive way, or that Adam wasn't kicking him out. He should have been. He really, really should have been. Instead, he sighed and pinched the bridge of his nose. "Fine, one night, and you're sleeping on the couch." Damien's expression didn't change, but there was a flicker of something in his eyes. Satisfaction? Relief? Adam couldn't tell. He drained the rest of his drink in one go and set the glass down. "Don't make me regret this." "I won't." Damien said softly. Adam had a feeling that was a lie. Adam woke up to the sound of his phone buzzing aggressively on the nightstand. He groaned, rubbing his face before reaching for it, squinting at the screen. 6 missed calls, all from Ayumi. His stomach dropped. Sitting up, he glanced toward the living room. The couch was empty, but Damien's whiskey glass from the night before still sat on the coffee table, untouched since they'd set it down. So he hadn't imagined it. Damien had really been here, and apparently, he was still here. Adam's gaze flickered to the kitchen, where he heard the faint sound of water running. His mind felt sluggish as last night came back to him. Damien standing at his door, the USB in his palm, the way he had simply been there, unshakable and unreadable. The fact that Adam had let him stay. His stomach twisted uncomfortably, but there were more immediate problems. Ayumi. He sighed, running a hand through his hair before unlocking his phone and opening their texts. Ayumi, 7:12 a.m. I know you were at the office late last night. Did you see anything weird? Ayumi, 7:15 a.m. Someone stole my USB. Ayumi, 7:17 a.m. Adam, this is serious. I need to talk to you ASAP. Ayumi, 7:30 a.m. Call me back, now. Adam exhaled sharply, guilt clawing at his chest. He had the damn USB in his drawer now. He could almost feel it from here, like it carried a weight far heavier than its size. He should have never joked about it. Should have never sent that text. But he had. And now there was a thief in his apartment. A beautiful thief. Adam cursed under his breath and swung his legs out of bed, padding into the kitchen. Damien was standing by the counter, pouring himself a cup of coffee like he owned the place. He was wearing the same dark clothes from the night before, but something about them looked slightly more relaxed, less like a shadow lurking in the night, and more like a man who had spent the night in a place he didn't intend to leave. Adam hated that it suited him. You drink coffee? Adam asked dryly, leaning against the doorway. Damien looked up, his dark eyes unreadable. Does that surprise you? A little. I always imagined you just, I don't know, stood in the dark and absorbed energy from the void or something. A small, almost imperceptible smirk touched Damien's lips. I have my limits. Adam scoffed, crossing his arms. Yeah? Well, I'm about to hit mine. Ayumi knows her USB is missing. Damien didn't look concerned. He simply took a slow sip of his coffee before setting the mug down. Of course she does. It was hers. Adam scowled. Are you trying to piss me off? Damien tilted his head. Number. But you knew this would happen. Adam ran a frustrated hand through his hair. No, I didn't know this would happen because I wasn't serious when I told you to steal it. Damien's gaze flickered slightly, like something was clicking into place. So you didn't actually want it? Of course I didn't. Adam threw his hands in the air. What the hell am I supposed to do with stolen data? What the hell were you thinking? Damien was silent for a long moment. Then he said, almost thoughtfully, I wanted to make you happy. Adam stared. Something about the way Damien said it, so simple, so sure, knocked the breath from his lungs. He should have been furious, should have yelled, should have told Damien to get the hell out of his apartment. But instead, he whispered, Why? Damien's lips parted slightly. It was the first time he actually hesitated before answering. I told you, he murmured. You're the first person who's made me feel something. Adam swallowed hard. He didn't know what to do with that answer. So instead, he forced himself to focus on the other problem at hand. Okay, he said, exhaling sharply. Well, now Ayumi is going to be on a warpath trying to find out who took it. She's already calling me. Then don't answer. Adam shot him an incredulous look. Are you insane? Damien blinked. You've been asking me that a lot. Because you keep proving me right, Adam snapped, before sighing and rubbing his temples. I need to figure out how to handle this. Damien watched him carefully. Would you like me to handle it? Adam froze. The way Damien said that, so calm, so certain, sent a shiver down his spine. What does that mean? Adam asked slowly. It means, Damien said, taking another sip of coffee, that I can make this problem go away. Adam's blood ran cold. You're not going to hurt her, are you? Damien raised a brow. Do you want me to? No. A flicker of amusement crossed Damien's face. Then I won't. Adam let out a slow, shaky breath, trying to ignore the way his heart was racing. This was insane. He needed to get rid of the USB, needed to put distance between himself and Damien. And yet, his gaze flickered to Damien again, taking in the way he stood so effortlessly at ease, like he belonged here, like he had always belonged here. Adam hated that he wasn't sure if he wanted him to leave. He needed answers, and not just about Ayumi. Who are you, Damien? He asked quietly. Damien's expression didn't change, but something in his posture shifted, almost imperceptibly. Finally, he said, Would you like to find out? Adam didn't know if the chill running down his spine was fear or something else entirely. The weight of Ayumi's missing USB loomed over Adam all morning. Every time his phone buzzed, he flinched. Every time someone in the office looked his way, he felt an irrational spike of paranoia. He wasn't guilty, not really. He hadn't stolen the damn thing. But knowing he had it, and that it had been stolen because of him, made his stomach churn with unease. And then there was Damien. Adam had left him in his apartment that morning, still sipping coffee, still watching him with those dark, unreadable eyes. He'd half expected Damien to be gone by the time he got home, to disappear as suddenly as he'd arrived. But something told him that wasn't going to happen. And for reasons he didn't want to examine, he wasn't sure he wanted it to. Adam. He turned sharply at the sound of Ayumi's voice, nearly spilling his coffee. She stood by his desk, arms crossed, her usual composed expression marred by something sharper. Suspicion. His throat went dry. Yeah? Her gaze flickered over him like she was analyzing his every move. I need to talk to you. Adam forced himself to stay still, to look normal. About? She pulled out the chair across from him and sat down, resting her elbows on his desk. You were the last person in the office last night, weren't you? Adam's heart thudded, but he forced a frown. I don't know. Maybe. Why? Ayumi's fingers tapped rhythmically against the desk. Because my USB disappeared sometime between me leaving and this morning. Adam played dumb. You think someone stole it? Her eyes narrowed slightly. Yes, and that means it had to be someone who was here late, someone who had a reason to take it. She let the implication hang between them. Adam's pulse pounded in his ears. He knew this was coming, but having her right here, looking at him like she was trying to rip the truth out of him, made it 10 times worse. He needed to play this right. Adam sighed, leaning back in his chair. Look, I get that this sucks, but what exactly do you think I'd want with your USB? Ayumi tilted her head. Maybe you finally got tired of me stealing your ideas. Adam's jaw clenched. Oh, so now you admit it? Her lips twitched, but there was no humor in it. That's not the point. The point is, you had motive and opportunity. I also have better things to do, Adam shot back. Look, I was here late, but I didn't touch your stuff. Maybe it was the cleaning crew, or maybe you just misplaced it. Ayumi exhaled sharply, studying him. Then she stood. I hope for your sake you're telling the truth, she said. Because if I find out you had anything to do with this, Adam, you're done. A chill ran through him. He watched as she walked away, every step precise, controlled. His fingers curled into fists. This was bad. This was really, really bad. Adam's apartment was dark when he got home. The only light came from the dim glow of the kitchen, where Damien sat at the counter, flipping through a book as if he had all the time in the world. Like he belonged here. Adam slammed the door shut behind him. "She's on to me." Damien didn't look up. "I expected as much." Adam threw his bag onto the couch. "You expected, Damien, this isn't some game. She's already suspicious. If she figures it out—" "She won't," Damien interrupted, finally meeting his gaze. "Unless you give her a reason to." Adam exhaled harshly, running a hand through his hair. "I need to get rid of that thing. I need to put it back or destroy it or something." Damien closed the book with a quiet thud and stood, stepping toward Adam. "You're panicking," he observed. "No shit, I'm panicking," Adam snapped. "This is my job, Damien, my life. You don't just get to waltz in here and screw everything up." Damien was silent for a moment, watching him. Then he said, "I never wanted to screw up your life, Adam." Adam scoffed. "Yeah? Could have fooled me." Damien stepped closer. Adam held his ground, but his body tensed. "You asked me a question last night," Damien murmured. Adam frowned. "What?" "You asked who I was." Adam's breath caught in his throat. Damien's gaze was steady, unwavering. "Do you still want to know?" Something cold slithered down Adam's spine. But it wasn't just fear. He swallowed. "Yeah, I do." Damien studied him for a moment longer. Then, to Adam's surprise, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a wallet. He flipped it open and held it out. Adam hesitated before taking it. His eyes flickered over the ID inside. And then everything in him froze. The name wasn't Damien. It was Elias Grant. Adam's stomach twisted. "What the hell is this?" Damien Elias took the wallet back, slipping it into his pocket. "It's who I was." Adam shook his head. "You're telling me you changed your name?" "Yes." "Why?" Damien Elias exhaled slowly. "Because Elias Grant doesn't exist anymore." Adam's mouth felt dry. "Did you kill him?" Something flickered in Damien's eyes. "In a way." Adam took an instinctive step back. "Jesus Christ." Damien didn't move. He simply watched Adam with that quiet, unreadable expression. And then he said, "You're afraid of me now." Adam's heart was pounding. Was he? He should be. But the thing that scared him the most wasn't Damien. It was the fact that even now, even after everything, he still wasn't sure if he wanted him to leave.